still empty. When he discovered their car, untouched, in the garage, he didn't know if he should feel relieved or not, but found that he wasn't. It was the first week of March in New Jersey, and outside looked blisteringly cold. June would have had to have a very good reason to go out on foot. He made his way to her closet. If her heavy-duty boots were gone, it would mean she'd just stepped out for something, to the store for milk. It would have been odd, but not implausible. At the doorway of her walk-in closet, he flicked the light switch, illuminating her clothes with harsh white light. Standing at the mouth of his wife's wardrobe, which smelled so uniquely like June, coconut shampoo, and the funk of worn clothes, Ben's chest lurched with something like regret or nostalgia. The scent of his wife felt uncomfortably like a memory. On the floor was a tangled mass of dark, dirty laundry. Blouses and dresses and coats hung limply in 2 rows around him. Above, a wraparound shelf burst with haphazardly folded leotards, pairs of tights, and all her different dance shoes, thin black ones, ballet slippers, tap shoes, and those ugly beige ones with the stumpy heels. And there, in the middle of her shoe rack, were June's heavy-duty boots. She hadn't walked to the store after all. Then something at the top of her closet caught Ben's eye. A gap in all that stuff, about 3 feet long, the wall behind it stark white and empty. It was where June stored her suitcase. He stood there staring at that empty space for a very long time before he flipped the light switch, plunging the closet back into darkness. He strode to the master bathroom, his legs moving like they'd been powered by an electricity surge. But his mind felt oddly blank, as if it were unwilling to comprehend the evidence before him. At their shared vanity, in their shared toothbrush holder, was one toothbrush. His. The counter space around June's sink was completely bare. No. Back in their bedroom, he laid Mikey on the bed and grabbed his phone from the bedside table. The screen was blank. No calls, no texts. He called June, but it went straight to voicemail. No. Ben looked at their brand new son. June wouldn't leave them. He knew that with a certainty inside him like a stone. And yet she was still, very clearly, not here. His brain grinded to a halt as if his gears had gotten stuck on these 2 conflicting truths. June would not leave. June was gone. He took a deep breath and willed his shoulders to relax. He just had to think it through. First of all, the doors were locked, and the house was untouched, so it wasn't as if she'd been snatched from their bed. Odds were she just had some early appointment that he'd forgotten about in his overfull brain, the details of which would perfectly explain the missing suitcase and the not missing boots or car. She'd probably walk in the door within the next few hours, and they'd laugh about how worked up he'd gotten about her very benign appointment to the dentist. And yet, while the pragmatic part of his brain told him there would be an ordinary, logical explanation, the rest of him prickled with dread. Her absence just felt wrong. He called her again, and again it went to voicemail. Before they had Mikey, June hadn't been particularly good about keeping up with her phone. She'd kept it on silent during rehearsals and sometimes forgot to respond to texts or calls until hours after getting them. But since she'd become a mom, she'd practically tethered herself to her device, frantically returning to rooms where she'd left it, as if at any moment Mikey might be near death, and she'd have to dial 911 to save him. Ben called again. Voicemail. And again, and again, and again. Voicemail. He stared at his screen, trying to think of someone who could help, someone